On the evening of February 9th, 2020, there were plenty of familiar faces nominated at the 92nd Academy Awards. In fact, almost every actor was a return nominee, including all four who would go on to win the top trophies. It was great to see so many of these people again. Kathy Bates, nearly 30 years since her win for Misery, Al Pacino, nearly 30 years since his win for Scent of a Woman, and Charlize Theron, nearly 20 years since her win for Monster. Their names and faces remind us of countless amazing films released in the 1990s, that incredible cinema decade that gave us so many timeless works of art. One other actor I was especially happy to see in the Dolby Theater that night, Tom frickin' Hanks. He's been so consistently excellent in films the last 4 decades, but he hadn't been recognized by the Academy in a long while, nearly 20 years, before finally receiving a 6th Oscar nomination, this time in the supporting actor category, for his lovely performance as Fred Rogers in Mariel Heller's A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. He was in many ways the Oscar superstar of the 90s, winning Best Actor 2 years in a row, first for Philadelphia, where his acceptance speech inspired its own Oscar-nominated movie, and second for Forrest Gump, the smash hit Best Picture winner of 1994. Nearly every year since, we've gotten a major Tom Hanks movie, many of them outstanding, only a scattered few underwhelming, but no doubt the performance he gave after his 1-2 punch of Philadelphia and Forrest Gump that brought him closest to a 3rd Academy Award was in Castaway, the massively successful Robert Zemeckis drama released at the end of 2000. Hundreds of think pieces were written about Hanks' astonishing physical transformation for the role, in a film shot over 3 different periods of time to allow Hanks to lose and then gain back weight. Hanks won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, making him, at least for a short while, the Oscar frontrunner. But Hilary Swank, the previous year's winner for Best Actress, went on to read a different name on Academy Awards night, March 25th, 2001, a name that was sort of unexpected.
Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
How did Crowe beat out Hanks for the Academy Award this season? Did anyone else in the category have a shot at the top prize? In this video, I'm going to discuss the Best Actor race at the 73rd Academy Awards ceremony and talk about why Crowe ultimately defeated Hanks for the award. 2 of the other acting races that night had pretty much zero suspense. The winners determined many weeks, even months, before the ceremony. Best Supporting Actor had lots of deserving winners, like Joaquin Phoenix for Gladiator and Willem Dafoe for Shadow of the Vampire, but really, it was always going to be Benicio del Toro taking home a trophy for his amazing performance in Traffic, directed by Steven Soderbergh. Best Actress also marked a clean award sweep for Julia Roberts, who won the Golden Globe, SAG Award, and Oscar for her terrific performance in Erin Brockovich, also directed by Steven Soderbergh. Soderbergh managed the unusual feat of being nominated twice that year in the Best Director category and winning for Traffic, over the presumptive frontrunner Ang Lee, who had won the Golden Globe and the DGA Award for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. There were some rumblings that Ellen Burstyn could surprise in Best Actress with her knockout performance from Requiem for a Dream, but that argument never held water since she had won before in 1975 for Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, allowing Roberts, a beloved movie star with then 3 Oscar nominations to her name and no wins, to be Oscar victorious for her performance in Erin Brockovich.
I love it up here.
Now, there of course was an acting category at the 2001 ceremony that might have been the most unpredictable ever in the nearly 100 years history of the Academy Awards. What I will say about this race is that I wish we got more like it year to year. Not the same people winning the same awards at every show all the way to the Oscars. It's so much more fun when one person wins here and then another person wins there. Remarkably, all 5 nominees for Best Supporting Actress that year won something big. Kate Hudson got the Golden Globe Award, Frances McDormand the Critics' Choice Award, Judi Dench the SAG Award, Julie Walters the BAFTA Award, and Marcia Gay Harden the Academy Award. That, my friends, was something special, and something I don't expect, but certainly hope, will be repeated in an acting category again. Finally, there's Best Actor, which might not have been quite as up in the air as Best Supporting Actress, but this is a race that most years has a pretty clear frontrunner, and it didn't really have one in the weeks leading up to the Oscar ceremony. When it came to Best Actor at the Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, Screen Actors Guild, and BAFTA, no one person managed the second win. Making things even more complicated, the winners at SAG and BAFTA weren't even nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. So was there a way to predict Crowe's win? Could we have sensed a surge of love for Gladiator coming? First, let's look at the nominees.
A homosexual poet, a drunken artist, a man who has a relationship with a volleyball, a sexual deviant, a guy who likes to wear gladiator outfits. But enough about me.
Javier Bardem scored his first of to date 3 Oscar nominations for his acclaimed performance in Before Night Falls, directed by Julian Schnabel. This was Bardem's first film in the English language, a lead performance that showed the breadth of his talent in so many ways. Based on the real-life story of a Cuban artist and poet, Before Night Falls was a landmark in gay cinema that put Bardem on the map and introduced him to an international audience.
Why you write?
Revenge.
His nomination here was inspired and deserved, but he never had a shot at winning because this marked the film's only Oscar nod, and he was so new to the cinema scene that many Academy voters likely thought they could vote for another Bardem performance down the line, which they did in 2008, the year he won his Academy Award for his chilling, iconic performance in No Country for Old Men. Next up is Jeffrey Rush for Quills, the historical drama also starring Joaquin Phoenix, along with Kate Winslet and the previous year's Best Supporting Actor winner, Michael Caine. Quills, directed by Philip Kaufman, examines the last years of Marquis de Sade, an inmate fighting a battle of wills against a doctor in a Napoleonic-era insane asylum. Also nominated for costume design and art direction set direction, Quills showed that Rush's Oscar win for Shine 4 years prior was no fluke, an actor willing to take chances and breathe glorious life into dark, controversial material.
You cut me to the core. What's the point of all your valiant attempts at rehabilitation if when I finally succumb, when at long last I pledge myself to righteous conduct, you regard me with nothing but suspicion?
Rush didn't have a chance at winning this year because he had won Best Actor recently for Shine, and the movie, only a mild art house success, certainly wasn't everyone's cup of tea when it came to the downbeat subject matter. This was the case of a superb performance that had to be nominated, but also was never in a million years going to take the actor trophy. The third nominee had a much better chance of pulling off a surprise victory for his performance in Pollock. Poor Ed Harris. I mean, think about it. The guy wins Best Supporting Actor at the SAG Awards in 1996 for his performance in Apollo 13, and then loses the Oscar to Kevin Spacey. 2 years after that, he wins Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes for his performance in The Truman Show, and then loses the Oscar to James Coburn. 2 years after that, he watches the leading lady of his directorial debut march up to the Oscar stage to collect her Best Supporting Actress trophy, but then, in his own category, he falls short again. He would even be nominated 2 years after that for his supporting performance in The Hours, losing to Chris Cooper. What an astonishing actor Ed Harris is. Once again excellent in 2021's The Lost Daughter, a man who should definitely have at least one Oscar on a shelf by now, but unfortunately Best Actor didn't go his way in 2001 for his inspired turn as the famous painter Jackson Pollock, the film very small and not as widely seen as many of the others nominated that night.
No. Stop it.
No, Russ. No. No!
The confusion in Best Supporting Actress certainly helped Marcia Gay Harden's chances, her win likely the result of no clear frontrunner in her category, and votes scattered among all 5 nominees. But people loved Tom Hanks and Russell Crowe in their respective movies that year, and so Harris was going to have to stay in his seat once again. So that takes us to the final 2 nominees. Let's start with Hanks, who had a shot at winning a 3rd Oscar, which at the time would have made him the first person ever to be a 3-time Best Actor winner, 12 years before Daniel Day-Lewis finally pulled off that feat in 2013 with his win for Lincoln. Tom Hanks was one of the most successful actors of the 1990s, but he wasn't exactly the go-to Oscars guy in the 1980s. Despite one nomination for Big in 1989, he was mostly known as a comedic actor those first few years of his film career, appearing in movies like Splash, The Money Pit, and The Burbs. It wasn't until the early 90s that he started to change gears, first appearing in a supporting role in A League of Their Own, the sublime, Oscar-worthy comedic turn as the alcoholic has-been baseball player Jimmy Dugan. He followed A League of Their Own with Sleepless in Seattle, and then Philadelphia, which won him an Oscar, and then Forrest Gump, which won him a 2nd Oscar, and then Apollo 13, one of the most cherished films of 1995. Let's just say the 90s was definitely Tom Hanks' decade. He wrote and directed his first movie, That Thing You Do, earned another Oscar nomination for Saving Private Ryan, and was excellent as usual in The Green Mile. He had to end the decade with a bang, and boy did he do so with Castaway, which brought audiences into the theater in droves and showed how hypnotizing Hanks is as a performer, even when he's on screen for an hour plus all by himself. Of course, his mind-blowing physical transformation in the movie played a big role in many thinking he might have another Oscar in the bag. Actors who transform themselves win all the time. Think Robert De Niro for Raging Bull, and Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club. His physical change for Castaway was especially noteworthy because Robert Zemeckis and his crew shut the production down not just once but twice to allow Hanks the time to both lose and gain the weight needed for his scenes. The film began shooting way back in January 1999 for only 2 months, and then didn't resume until a year later in April 2000. Such a long period of time, Zemeckis made another movie in between, What Lies Beneath, starring Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer, released in the summer of 2000. But Castaway is about so much more than Tom Hanks' physical change. The film might stumble a bit at the end, the part that for most isn't on the level of everything that comes before, but the emotional journey his character of Chuck Nolan has, a FedEx executive whose cargo plane goes down in the Pacific Ocean, leaving him the only survivor on a deserted island, is a stunning one that allows Hanks to show so many new sides to his screen persona.
Yeah! Look what I have created! I have made fire! I have made fire!
When asked why he wanted to make Castaway at the 2017 Hollywood Reporter Actor Roundtable, Hanks said,
I wanted to examine the concept of 4 years of hopelessness in which you have none of the requirements for living, which is food, water, shelter, fire, and company.
It was a risky film to make by all accounts, but it was one that paid off both critically and commercially, and at the 2001 Golden Globe ceremony, like I said before, Hanks won Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, most often the trophy that bodes well for a win at the Oscars. But as the award season continued, Hanks' chances for a third victory at the Academy Awards slowly began to disappear. At the SAG Awards, he didn't win Best Actor, but then again, neither did anyone who was eventually nominated for Best Actor at the Oscars. In a strange bit of category swapping, Benicio del Toro, who would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, won at SAG Male Actor in a Leading Role. And then really not helping matters was the Best Actor win at BAFTA, which again didn't go to anyone nominated at the Oscars, a young Jamie Bell taking this award for his performance in Billy Elliot. So in a way, Tom Hanks was still on top, since he didn't have to compete for the Oscar with either Benicio del Toro or Jamie Bell, but there was one other major award he didn't win before the Academy Awards, and that was the Critics' Choice Award for Best Actor, which went to Russell Crowe for Gladiator. Winning only Critics' Choice and losing at the Golden Globe, SAG, and BAFTA typically isn't a sign of an Oscar win, but such turned out to be the case that year for an actor whose star was on the rise. Russell Crowe was a working actor beginning in the late 1980s, and it was his performance in 1992's Romper Stomper that first put him on the map, Crowe winning Best Actor at the Australian Film Institute and the Film Critics Circle of Australia Awards. The movie brought Crowe enough international attention for American directors to start casting him in their films, like 1995's Virtuosity and The Quick and the Dead. His first major breakthrough was 1997's LA Confidential, where he and Guy Pearce led an astonishing ensemble cast, in a film that dazzled critics and audiences and did extremely well that award season. And then came 1999's The Insider, and Crowe's first Oscar nomination, which set up a fascinating 3-year period where he would be nominated for Best Actor at the Academy Awards every time. His second of 3 Oscar nominations in 3 years was for Gladiator, the Ridley Scott historical epic that was one of the biggest commercial hits of summer 2000. Crowe playing a former Roman general named Maximus who sets out to take revenge on a corrupt emperor who murdered his family. If his performances in LA Confidential and The Insider didn't exactly make Russell Crowe a household name, Gladiator certainly did. His performance riveting and powerful throughout, his presence on screen completely mesmerizing from beginning to end.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions.
Maybe my favorite televised Roger Ebert review following Gene Siskel's death was the back and forth he had in May 2000 with the guest critic Joyce Kulhaywick, who thought Gladiator was one of the best movies ever made, while Ebert gave the film a thumbs down.
Did you see Titus?
Yes, I saw Titus.
Shames this movie. Let me talk. Titus shames this movie. It shames it. It shames it in the look, in the drama, in the characterizations, in the performances, in the depth. This movie is basically just a Gladiator movie.
So not every critic was on board with Ridley Scott's movie, but most had at least some affection for it, and almost everyone could agree Crowe gave one of the best performances of any actor that year. So how did Russell Crowe ultimately win his Academy Award for Gladiator, especially over Tom Hanks' praised performance in Castaway? Here are the top 5 reasons. Reason number 1 is probably the most important, as well as the most obvious. Tom Hanks had already won 2 Oscars just a few years prior back-to-back. I often think it was this abundance of riches for Hanks in 1994 and 1995 that has prevented him from getting more Oscar nominations in the last 20 years he has absolutely deserved, namely for his performance in 2013's Captain Phillips, which has an emotional final scene I've never been able to forget. Throw in Road to Perdition, Charlie Wilson's War, Cloud Atlas, Sully, and News of the World, and you have plenty of excellent Hanks performances that have gone mostly unnoticed come awards time. I firmly believe if Hanks had lost for either Philadelphia or Forrest Gump in the mid-90s, he probably would have been nominated for Captain Phillips, and might have even won for Castaway. But alas, many Academy voters likely thought they'd given him enough already, and so they turned to the next best pick in 2001, Russell Crowe. Reason number 2 is that while Hanks' performance in Castaway was widely praised, the movie itself had kind of a lukewarm reception from critics, most pointing a finger at the lackluster final act.
It just seems to me, though, that there is a part of the film that never really delivers on the intended level, and you know what part that is.
You don't like the way the story resolves itself. Let's just leave it at that. And I agree with you. I mean, not to review the...
Compared to Gladiator, which earned 12 Oscar nominations, including picture and director, Castaway only earned 2, for Hanks and for sound. Not exactly a sign of enthusiasm. Hanks and Robert Zemeckis had enjoyed such monumental award success 6 years earlier for Forrest Gump that there was bound to be some naysayers when it came to Castaway. So much of the first 2/3 of the narrative is fantastic, but the screenplay by William Broyles Jr. makes enough clunky turns in those last 20 minutes to keep the film from truly soaring. And so that also hurt Hanks' chances for a win come Oscar time. Reason number 3 is a simple one, going along with reason number 2. Almost everybody preferred Gladiator to Castaway. The movie won big all throughout award season. Remember this moment?
Gladiator!
And at the Oscars, it managed 5 awards total, including Best Picture. And whenever an actor or actress is nominated for a movie that's beloved in other categories, especially Best Picture, that always gives them a better chance at a win. Think Kevin Spacey in American Beauty, or Hilary Swank in $1 Million Baby. It doesn't pan out every year. Kate Winslet didn't win for Titanic. Liam Neeson didn't win for Schindler's List. But the 12 Oscar nominations for Gladiator, many voters watching it and adoring it, absolutely helped secure Crowe's win. Reason number 4 was that Crowe had earned an Oscar nomination the year prior for The Insider, and so those who felt he deserved to win in 2000 might have given him more of a push to win in 2001. Actors nominated 2 years in a row often have a better chance in winning that second year. Think Colin Firth, who lost in 2010 for A Single Man, but then emerged victorious in 2011 for The King's Speech. Think Susan Sarandon, who lost in 1995 for The Client, but then won the following year for Dead Man Walking. If Crowe hadn't been nominated for The Insider, I still think he probably would have won for Gladiator, but that nomination the year before sealed the deal for sure. And lastly, reason number 5 was that Best Actor just wasn't as competitive as it usually is. Typically there's a third, even a fourth person who's a major player and could potentially win. But really in 2001, the only other person who could have taken this, besides Hanks or Crowe, was Ed Harris. But even that was a long shot since, as I talked about before, his film was very small, released late in the season, and he hadn't won any precursor awards. If Harris had won at SAG, let's say, and maybe at BAFTA too, then the Best Actor Oscar would have been a genuine nail-biter. But with only Hanks in the way to stop him, Crowe was able to walk up to the Oscar stage a Best Actor winner in what felt like a bit of a surprise at the time, but in retrospect, really, we all should have seen coming.
The FBI has just announced a suspect in the plot to kidnap Russell Crowe. And all I can say is, Tom Hanks, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Crowe would be nominated for Best Actor a third time a year later for A Beautiful Mind, which, like Gladiator, also won Best Picture. He would lose that award to Denzel Washington for Training Day, an outcome that could have been fascinatingly different if, say, Washington had won in 2000 for The Hurricane, or if Crowe had lost to Hanks in 2001. But more on that actor race in the coming weeks. Russell Crowe and Tom Hanks are two of our finest actors, and at the end of the day, after all the analysis is said and done, I'm just thrilled each of these men has at least one Academy Award. After that impressive 3-year run, Crowe hasn't received an Oscar nomination since 2002, and Hanks' only nomination since 2001 was for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, an award he had exactly zero chance in winning over Brad Pitt. But despite the Academy not recognizing these guys very much for the last couple of decades, Tom Hanks and Russell Crowe continue to deliver rich and remarkable performances year after year that show what it truly means to be a movie star. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below who you think should have won Best Actor in 2001. Should Hanks have received his 3rd Academy Award? Or was Crowe the right choice? See you next time.